These are the spider folk of your neighborhood. Friendly neighborhood. Friendly neighborhood. Wait, that's actually a whole lot of spider folk. Who says that there will never be as much anticipation as there was for Endgame? The Spider-Man movie that almost wasn't has generated piles of speculation built not only on the massive cliffhanger at the end of Far From Home, but as well as actors accidentally saying the quiet part out loud. One thing we do know is that the password for Phase 4 is the multiverse. How many Spider-Folk can we stick in one movie? Let us count the ways. Yep, that was all a Sesame Street reference. Let me ask you a question. Who is your Spider-Man? The Wall Crawler has been the star of Marvel Comics since 1962, but his journey to live action has been fraught with peril. Legal entanglements dating all the way back to the ill-fated live-action TV series in the 70s prevented even luminaries like James Cameron from crossing the finish line. Once that hurdle was cleared, superfan Sam Raimi gave us an almost picture-perfect Spider-Man with a sequel that is still considered one of the best superhero movies of the modern age. And then followed by a sequel that is held up as a cautionary tale for what not to do to your franchise. For some, Tobey Maguire will always be their Spider-Man. After Jamie Foxx tweeted a picture of 3 Spider-Man after it was revealed he was coming back as Electro, Tobey Maguire has been on the top of everyone's wish list. Only, Maguire was retired from acting, last seen on a TV show in 2014. Except now he's not. Is that because he's donning the Spidey suit? If the collective wishes of the fanbase can make things real, then yes. Part of what fuels the idea that Tobey will be back is that his best villain, Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, has been confirmed for the movie, thanks to Molina's lack of concern for secrets. But the patient zero of the Spider-Verse rumors is that picture that Jamie Foxx posted on his Instagram before taking it down and pretending it was nothing. Electro was the big bad in Amazing Spider-Man 2, Sony's attempt to reboot the Spider-Man franchise, only this time with a Sally Field Aunt May and focusing on Peter's tragic Gwen Stacy arc in place of Mary Jane Watson. While Maguire has leaned on his reclusive nature to avoid speculation, Garfield has had to emphatically deny his involvement in interviews, which just encourage people to say he doth protest too much. Having Garfield Spidey show up would be a real time saver since he already knows how to defeat Electro, who otherwise is not very webbable. Before the multiverse started filling up the world with variations of Spider-Man in the Spider-Man comics had to do it the old-fashioned way, clones. Peter Parker wasn't the only one to take his failure to save Gwen Stacy hard. Miles Warren, aka the Jackal, also took it pretty personally. Did he blame the Green Goblin who had dropped Gwen in the first place? Haha, no. He blamed Spider-Man for not saving her. Then he took the next rational step. Cloned Peter Parker. The clone was seemingly defeated, but instead went into hiding only to emerge with Uncle Ben's first name and Aunt May's maiden name, Ben Reilly. When he found out that Aunt May was sick, he returned to New York and assisted Spider-Man as the Scarlet Spider. What better fake-out is there than to have the multiple Spider-Man thing be a bunch of Tom Holland clones from another reality, or just the one with his beloved Guardian's name? Perhaps the most well-loved alternate Peter Parker isn't a Peter Parker at all, but rather a Miles Morales. Because Marvel's Ultimate Universe wanted to create a fresh new line for a new generation of readers, Peter Parker took a dive to take down the Green Goblin once and for all, leaving that universe sans Spider-Man. That is, except Miles Morales, who also found himself on the receiving end of a special spider bite. Miles Morales became the Ultimate Universe's Spider-Man, and so popular that when the Ultimate Universe was collapsed during 2015's Secret Wars, Miles escaped oblivion by giving Molecule Man a 2-week-old hamburger. Yeah, that happened. Miles was at the center of the amazing Into the Spider-Verse movie with that incredible leap of faith scene. Oh, so good. The seeds of Miles Morales already exist in the MCU when Spider-Man got interrogation lessons from Miles' uncle, the Prowler, played by Donald Glover, once a favorite to play Miles in a live-action adaptation. To do a Spider-Man multiverse without Miles would be a shame. Spider-Man is one of those characters that seem to enter the world fully formed. As his stories have evolved, he's met with an increasingly complex set of foes and friends. But the core element of Peter Parker as Spider-Man has remained largely unchanged. Even his costume has only changed slightly over the years, but still featuring the red and blue and web design. Except once. paying a fan for his suggestion that Reed Richards should let Spider-Man in on that whole unstable molecule costume thing so that Peter doesn't have to spend half his time darning his costume after a fight, they gave Peter a new costume. Though instead of Richards' unstable molecules, they had Peter stick his hand in a strange piece of technology on an alien world assembled solely for heroes and villains to fight in. What could go wrong? Naturally, it was a symbiote and the origins of one of Spider-Man's most popular foes, even taking on a life of its own with a Sony Venom movie that doesn't involve Spider-Man at all. That could all change if Peter were to encounter another Peter taken over by the symbiote, or in fact finds his multiverse shenanigans puts him face to face with Tom Hardy's Venom. The Ultimates wasn't the only alternate timeline that Marvel explored that put their heroes in a new context. There was also Earth 928, specifically in the year 2099. That far-off, slightly cyberpunk future where a world more than a century separated from the Age of Heroes deals. Mostly it deals by recreating a lot of the old heroes with new origins, like Miguel O'Hara, who objected to, what else, his boss's unethical experiments to give people superpowers. That never goes wrong. Of course it went wrong when the boss tried to addict O'Hara to the Rapture Serum, but instead another experiment, this time by O'Hara himself and broken by his assistant, landed O'Hara with Spider-Man powers. He would eventually go back in time to fight along with the Spider Army to delete his own timeline, but survive so that 80 years later he could convince himself to become Spider-Man because time travel is complicated. When a superhero has a kid, does that kid get the superpowers? The answer to that question for the Marvel Universe is yes, the kids get powers. Peter and Mary Jane's offspring did in fact develop spider powers. If you're wondering why you don't hear a lot about the offspring of Peter and Mary Jane, it's because they were from an alternate reality, 982. The story of Benji and his sister May is also wrapped up in a Spider-Verse story where the spider totem hunter Deimos took out the young Spider-Folk's parents, making him a sure fit for a multiverse story. Another product of the Spider-Verse is someone who themselves is the product of the multiverse itself. William Braddock is best known as Captain Britain. Don't let the name fool you though. Braddock is more than just a palette swap Captain America. He got his own thing going on. Part of that is protecting the multiverse as a representative for 616, where he had to make the case against wiping it out when Scarlet Witch started rewriting things over and over again, trying to make everyone happy in House of M. But another Braddock had another multiversal adventure, this time as Spider UK from Earth 833, where he discovered the main villain of the Spider-Verse, Morlun. It turns out that every verse has a spider totem, and most of them are a version of Spider-Man, and in the first verse, the villain Morlun got the idea that he needed to catch them all, leading to a cross-universe spider crisis. If Morlun ends up at the center of the No Way Home shenanigans, Spider UK would have a role to play. Some people are born to greatness, some have greatness thrust upon them, and others do a series of rituals to become a spider totem and then run around finding other spider totems to warn them and let them use his special set of Spider-Man specific panic rooms. That last one would be Ezekiel Sims, who not only told Peter about the coming of Morlun, but helped him ultimately defeat him. While Doctor Strange is set to be Peter's guide to the multiverse, Sims might be the one to tip him to the danger that lurks within. Marvel's popular What If comic is getting the MCU treatment over at Disney+, where the Watcher takes us on a journey of alternate realities where one key thing is changed. The biggest staple of the series is what if someone else got that power? The best of that is the tongue-in-cheek story of the reality where Aunt May took the spider bite and went about becoming Spider-Ma'am. This isn't really a reason for this to happen in a Spider-Verse movie, except how cool would that be? Wonder what Happy would think. The wild card, of course, would be having Nicholas Hammond's Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man TV series. Even Stan Lee wasn't a fan, but everyone deserves a second chance, especially if he can ride in on Japanese Spider-Man Shinji Toto's giant robot to save the day. Best ending ever? Yeah.